back to the channel, guys. Today we have an epic shark video to share with you, with everything from night diving with bull sharks to free diving with tiger sharks like this beauty right here, and we even had a few hammerheads come in too, so buckle up, this one's gonna be awesome. We're starting our night dive off right at sunset, getting in that twilight, and as soon as you look down, there's a shark down there. It's a shadow moving, it's hard to spot, but he's there. And the next shark to show up is this beautiful silky shark. Now, silkies are one of my personal favorites. I absolutely love them. This one was only with us for a few minutes, but came in for a nice close flyby. I used a little bit of slow motion on this one to slow it down, just show how gorgeous that shark is. But you know, this one just came by for one pass, and then that one was gone. So as you can see, we still have a decent amount of light, but that does not last long, and soon enough we're in full darkness, got the lights on, and here comes a beautiful sandbar shark in to check us out. The sandbar sharks we get out here are usually in the smaller side, and they're pretty easily identifiable by having what I like to call oversized fins. Their pectoral and dorsal fins look a lot bigger than they should be for the size of the shark, so they're kind of goofy and funny looking. We then had quite a few of the bull sharks show up and start to come in a little bit closer. As soon as we even got in the water, the bulls were already there, but they were kind of keeping their distance. But then as night fell, they started to become a little bit more comfortable and come in a little bit closer. Now, something really cool to watch for through these videos is the eye shine coming from the sharks. It doesn't show up very often on camera, but when it does, it's pretty cool. And you might recognize me talking about eye shine from alligators. That's usually how we'll often see the alligators out in the wild, is from their eyes shining back. This is from the tapetum lucidum, a reflective cell membrane in the back of the eye that amplifies their night vision. So these guys have that same tapetum lucidum, and it helps them out be able to see better at night. Now check out this sandbar shark coming right up and bumping right into my buddy Alex's camera. So sandbars are funny. Sometimes they're really shy, and then sometimes they're really bold and coming really close. So this one was definitely feeling on the more bold side. Now this is a baited dive, so we do have a bait crate here, and that is what is initially attracting the sharks, but they do come in to check us out too. Check out this bull coming up real close. Now you see the scars on this one's gills. Don't know what caused that, but it definitely makes this one identifiable, and we see this one repeatedly all throughout the night coming in real close to check me out. What was really cool in this night dive too is we got to see some natural predation events. So check out this one spinning around to check out that little fish following it. Didn't grab it that time, but we did actually get to see some of the sharks grab some other fish. I didn't get it on camera, but we still got to see it, so it was really cool. Now in this little clip, we got a couple of them coming in pretty darn close. You can see my camera flash is firing, so I'm actually sitting right next to the bait crate, so they're coming up real close. But it makes some awesome silhouettes as they're backlit by other divers' lights up at the surface, and I'm down maybe about 30 feet hanging out with them. And you can see my camera flash is going off right there. It doesn't seem to bother them. Sometimes it scares them a little bit, but most of them don't seem to mind. Now, doing a night dive with bull sharks sounds like the most dangerous thing ever to a lot of people, but it's really not that bad. There's actually a pretty calm experience. They were pretty chill throughout most of the dive. They're, you know, infamous for being super aggressive and super high testosterone and all this other kind of stuff, which, I mean, in reality, they're really not as bad as people think they are if you set up the situation correctly. Now, in the wrong situation, bulls are no joke. They definitely do cause human fatalities, so you do have to be careful around them, but they're not the mindless killing machines people often think they are. Now here's one of the photos I took during the dive, so I'll put a couple of these in, but you can see my camera flashes going off now and then. I always love to get some photos as well as video of the sharks. Now I mentioned my lights earlier. Sometimes the sharks are a little spooked by the lights, but sometimes they're actually attracted to the electrical signal. This one, boom, bumps right up into my camera and gives it a little bit of a nudge right there. So they can pick up the electrical signal from either my camera or the lights themselves, because sharks have what's called the ampullae florenzini, these little tiny electrical sensors along their mouth, and so they can pick that up and come in to investigate sometimes. I think my favorite part of diving at night with sharks is just they're so in control of the environment and themselves, and they'll come in close and they're very visible and they're curious, and then as they drift away, they just drift away into the darkness. And then you see one coming out of the darkness, and just this kind of back and forth is really cool, because for us, without the light, we have nothing. But for them, they don't need the light at all. You know, they're moving around using their other senses, not relying solely on vision, and it's just so incredible to see the way they move and the way they navigate in this environment. It's just really amazing and special to see. And I know for most people it seems really terrifying, but honestly this whole experience was really calm and really beautiful to watch. Now I'm shooting all this with a GoPro mounted to my underwater camera housing, so you know how GoPros are, super wide, which means these ones are super close. This one literally, that tail goes right over my head as it turns around to grab that piece of bait right there. And as beautiful as all these sharks are, it is sadly not a great time to be a shark in South Florida. Unfortunately, they have been issuing some shark killing tournaments. It's a horrific thing going on lately. This has been legal and in response to fishermen's claims that there are too many sharks and they're stealing all their fish. Well, sorry guys, there are not too many sharks. We actually have a global massive decline in sharks, and there's too many fishing boats out there catching all the fish. The global fishing stock decline and complete collapse of fishing stocks in certain areas is very well documented, as is the global decline in shark populations. Then we have a lot of people saying, yeah, but there's more sharks now than when I was a little kid. There's more than ever. And that's just simply not true. There's a concept called shifting baselines that we really try to convey to people. Shifting baselines is basically saying that your baseline data is shifting, right? So your baseline data as a person with a very short, limited lifespan, let's say you were a kid in the 70s or 80s and you're like, oh, there's hardly any sharks, and now there's way more sharks than there were before. This is because back then the sharks were at the lowest point they've ever been. Then we had the Endangered Species Act passed in the 70s, and then there is this rebound time before populations start to go back up and start to increase. So let's say we had an 80% decrease in shark populations back then. It's increased 10%. There's still a 70% decrease in shark populations compared to what they should be without human beings being there killing everything, right? So that's why now it seems like there's more than ever, when in reality there's way less than there should be, but there is a slight increase, which is a good thing. That's something we should be happy about. You know, I really can't say it enough how these guys are not what people think they are. They're not that mindless killing machine. And here, the one with the scars on the gill actually comes in real close, and her fin almost gets kind of stuck on my camera, so I give her a little bit of a lift right there. But as you can see, she doesn't mind, she doesn't get aggressive or anything like that, you know, and I just say this all the time, is people think in extremes. It's either mindless killing machine or perfectly tame puppy, and reality is in the middle, guys. These are potentially dangerous animals if you do things the wrong way, but if you do them the right way, they're a lot more calm than people think. In fact, here I am, literally surrounded by them. That's me in the middle right there with all the sharks around me. And check out the eye shine coming off the sharks. You can really see it well here too. So that wraps up the night dive, but I also wanted to share with you guys a day shark dive that I just did recently as well. And so on this trip, we're doing free dive. We're going over some wrecks right now. So this is an upside down barge on the bottom, and I'm going to hold my breath and free dive down to check it out. And you heard that right, I am holding my breath. There's no scuba tanks here. It's just hold my breath, diving down. This is about 70 feet deep heading down. Now check it out, we have some sharks over there. We have some lemon sharks. There's a Goliath grouper right there hanging around by the wreck as well. So these wrecks actually act as an artificial reef, and a lot of marine life will hang around the wrecks. It might seem like garbage on the bottom, but many of these are put down intentionally just so the marine life can hang out in them. And then here you have me ascending back up. As you can see, no scuba, just holding my breath. So a lot of people ask, how long do I hold my breath? I can do about 3 minutes, which might seem like a lot to normal people, but among freedivers, I am very much an amateur. While we were drifting along looking for sharks, we came across this large loggerhead sea turtle. This is a big male. Now we can tell it's a male. You can see that big tail hanging out the back, so we know that's a large male loggerhead sea turtle. Now he's probably down there about 80 feet, so you can see I am coming back up to the surface to get my breath, and this can really give you a view of just the distance. Look at that. So it's pretty cool that we spotted him from the surface and then we're able to dive down and check him out. But then, just a few moments later, we had our target shark show up, a great hammerhead. Look at this amazing, gorgeous creature. These guys are one of the coolest sharks out here. So this is a great hammerhead. Look at him coming in nice and close to check me out. They are so incredibly cool to encounter and see in the wild. great hammerhead sharks are also listed as critically endangered. So these poor guys are very, very low in number out here. So seeing one definitely makes the day for me. Now, the hammerhead shark gets its name for that hammer head on the end, right? So what is going on there? So that's called a cephalofoil. And so what this does is gives a large distribution area for the ampullate lorenzini, and that's those electrosensory pores that sharks have. So with the hammer like that, it gives this large distribution and gives them an exquisite sense of being able to pick up those electric Having signals. Their eyes on each end of the hammer also gives them a very wide range of view. It's a really interesting and unique adaptation that these sharks have. And due to how unique they look, they do seem scary to a lot of people, but in reality, hammerheads are one of the most shy sharks that we encounter, and we usually see one, it's just a passing glance. Usually they come by, they see us, they're terrified of us, and they just take off. And then moments later, we had a massive tiger shark show up. Look at the size of this big tiger. Now, unfortunately, this one only showed up very briefly, made one pass, and then kind of disappeared back off in the blue, but wow, huge tiger. We also drifted through this large school of Jack Crevalle, so that was really cool to see. There had to be hundreds, if not thousands of them going by. And then we didn't see sharks for quite a bit, so I started to practice my free diving again, just going down, checking things out, and on one of those down, I had this tiger come in. Now this is pretty spooky, because this tiger came in when I was about 70 feet deep, and then came cruising over and then followed me all the way back up. What a cool, incredible encounter with the tiger. We then had this huge storm roll in on us out on the water. It was basically a whiteout. I mean, look at that out there, which made it pretty cool underwater though. Look at how beautiful it is underwater, nice and calm. We had some bull sharks coming in as well, which made it look really nice with the bulls, with the raindrops hitting the water back above. But of course, storms out on the water often bring lightning. That's not a good thing, so we did decide to wrap up the dive and head back in. But, you know, one last look at this bull shark, right? And here are a few of the photos I took during these dives. Now, we want to say a huge thank you to my buddy Alex. He goes by Zella on Instagram, Zella Expeditions. That's who I was out with on a lot of these. And then also a big thank you to Cressy for providing me with all my dive gear. And then for you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next adventure.